The countdown has started. As 2020 was winding down, and I could only imagine with COVID happening, there was probably many people who had just been alone, stressed out, frustrated, just looking at an empty New York block that's usually filled with people, and just wondering, what is this year? What just transpired? And just wishing that, oh God, please let this year go by. And then suddenly, as the year 2021 comes around, we have to deal with people breaking into the Capitol. And, really the worst thing about this was how the establishment elites, the ones who love censorship, the billionaire class who owns all the corporations, the ones who are siding with China because they want to be like the ones on the very top, watching down on all the little folk, the little people. Well, those individuals got exactly what they wanted. And they were able to establish a ruthless type of censorship, a way of just taking down people. They found a justification to take down people in ways that I don't know how else to say other than to say it's completely un-American. It's not what this country was established on. It's very like Chinese communism. And I want to let people know that communism, the way that I see it personally, it's not that you spread the wealth to everybody. There's always going to be a hierarchy. There's always going to be individuals at the very top who are going to be making decisions for the rest of the peasants, the lower class individuals. So really, when you deal with a system like communism, all it's doing is it's acclimating more power to the very top in a way that it cannot be challenged. That's how I perceive it. And I think that a lot of these individuals and tech giants, they kind of want those positions. They want to be kind of looking like, you remember that show Westworld with all the robots, how they're all like being programmed in this one world? Well, they're the individuals who are programming the robots, watching from the very top. And so I know I'm getting a little bit off on a tangent, but man, we had a crazy 2020 year. Now 2021, we have the storming of the Capitol with a wave of censorship coming right behind it. And I guess one good thing I could say about all this, and look, I don't think 2021 is going to be any less crazy than 2020. And right now, in 180 days, because of the stimulus package, it appears that they're going to be unveiling some of the UFO information. Well, that's what they claim. So let's read over here. So I pulled up a Newsweek article. I love getting publications like Newsweek when you talk about UFOs, because usually it's like National Enquirer type stuff. But anyways, it says here, UFO report could be published by government agencies in 180 days. Federal agencies have been asked to publish a report on unidentified flying objects in less than 180 days, thanks to an act included in the $2.3 trillion stimulus and government spending bill signed by President Donald Trump on Sunday. A report by the Select Committee of Intelligence attached to the Intelligence Authorization Act of 2021. Now, I had to look this up, and from what I gathered about the Intelligence Authorization Act, it's more of like a bill that kind of stipulates how the intelligence agencies are allowed to spend their budgets. It doesn't give a cap for the budget, but just kind of says where it has to go. So Authorization Act for 2021 states that the Director of National Intelligence, the Secretary of Defense, and the heads of other relevant agencies submit a report to the Congressional Intelligence and Armed Services Committees on Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, also known as anomalous aerial vehicles. Or another acronym other than AAV is UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. Including observed airborne objects that have not been identified. They're asked to do this in 180 days after the act is enacted. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the countdown has begun. The committee chaired by Senator Marco Rubio asked for the report to include detailed analysis of FBI data taken from investigations into intrusions of unidentified aerial phenomenon in restricted United States airspace, and of data and intelligence collected or held by the Office of Naval Intelligence. And we talked about this before on this channel, but if you're wondering why it's the naval intelligence, well, UFOs have also been seen coming from under the ocean. They're termed like USOs, unidentified submersible objects. And also, if you know about the case of Bob Lazar, the individual who worked at S4 and apparently back engineered alien spacecrafts for Area 51, well, his paychecks was coming from the Office of Naval Intelligence. Anyways, moving on. It also asked for analysis of the potential threats posed by unidentified aerial phenomenon to national security and an assessment on whether this unidentified aerial phenomenon activity may be attributed to one or more foreign adversaries. I don't really think so. And the reason why I say this is because these reports have been going on since, at least the 1950s. We actually have documentation that shows that the Robertson's panel that was created to investigate the UFOs right after that sighting that happened over the White House in 1952. The Robertson's panel happened in 1953, and we have documentation that says that this panel, which was supposed to be a scientific panel, which was then leaned on by the Condom report that the Air Force created to create a scientific investigation on UFOs. Well, this initial report that was kind of like the foundation of all other investigations, well, according to this file that I discovered in the CIA website, well, this scientific panel was sponsored by the Central Intelligence Agency. So if we can determine that this phenomenon has been going on since the 50s and they still had this miraculous technology of being able to zip at the speed of light and essentially break the laws of physics, the laws of inertia, then that would imply very heavily that this is probably not foreign adversaries. Whether it's extraterrestrial, I can't say that either. There are other exotic possibilities. There's a possibility of them being interdimensional. Scientists have recently kind of verified that multiverse theories could be real. There's a possibility that they could be time travelers. I don't know. What I can say is that they're probably not foreign adversaries given some of the data that we have and for how long this has been occurring. And something else that I wanted to mention that I thought was interesting is that, people, when they first started reporting UFOs, they reported them as this circular type objects or this perfect like equilateral triangle. Well, when we started looking at the Navy patents, and they talked about one potential propulsion, which was the counter-rotating electromagnetic fields, which is also an idea that was proposed by Michio Kaku, the physicist who wrote the book, The Physics of the Impossible. He also said that maybe a future civilization would use counter-rotating electromagnetic fields. Well, this propulsion would require the craft to be almost perfectly symmetrical, whether you're talking about equilateral triangle or you're talking about a perfect saucer shape. So this is not something that people would have been able to know in the 50s, but it's interesting that this symmetry, this almost perfect symmetry, is kind of a requirement that was laid out in these patents that were created by the Navy. Remember how Belgium was one of the first governments to ever release the information on UFOs? Well, they were talking about these giant triangular crafts with like a red dot in the middle. And that's one of the patents that we actually saw from the Navy, which is, it's hard to say whether that was reverse engineered or whether the original craft that the Belgian people saw was man-made. But definitely in the 50s, they were not man-made. That's for sure. The request comes after the Pentagon released 3 classified videos filmed by US Navy pilots in 2004 and 2015 of unidentified aerial phenomenon. One of the pilots told the New York Times in 2017 about the 2004 incident shot around 100 miles of the California coast. It accelerated like nothing I've ever seen. The ex-head of the US government's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program told Newsweek earlier this week the Pentagon has a lot more classified videos of so-called unidentified aerial phenomenon. Oh boy, I cannot wait to see what happens after these 180 days. The term unidentified aerial phenomenon does not mean that the spacecrafts are aliens, as we discussed earlier, but that did not stop the imagination of Twitter users running wild on Wednesday, with some joking that the report may make 2021 even stranger than 2020. It's already stranger. When the world was upended by the COVID pandemic. In a tweet using an alien and alien spacecraft emoji, Sean Gabbles, an anchor of CBS 46, tweeted, "Are you ready to find out what the government really knows about UFOs?" Now, here's the problem. Is that that's not a certainty. It's going to be addressed later in this article. The unofficial Twitter account of the Reddit alien subreddit tweeted 180 countdown till the Pentagon releases information on what they know about UFOs. Holy cow, wrote one Twitter user. Not a believer in aliens visiting Earth, but this will be interesting. One said alongside a news article about the report 2021, when we looked back at 2020 as a less F up year. Another said, can't make this up, 2020 hasn't ended, here we are. One Twitter user replied to a tweet from SpaceX founder Elon Musk asking, did you see the news about the aliens? Government has 180 days to spill the beans from the day of the COVID relief signing. And it's kind of like a question, why would they attach this to the COVID relief bill? And I think it has to do with what we talked about earlier, the Intelligence Authorization Act for 2021, because that's how they appropriate the money. So if some of the COVID money was included in the type of funding that would happen to the Intelligence Committee, it would make sense that this would be something that some of the individuals from the Intelligence Committee chaired by Marco Rubio, they might have said, you know what, let's get this stuff out, Now here's where it gets, okay, we're not really sure what's going to happen, because it says here, according to the debrief, the provision is not law. The provision is not law, so the report may never materialize. Christopher Mellon, former staff director of the United States Senate Intelligence Committee, told the debrief, assuming the executive branch honors this important request, the nation will at long last have an objective basis for asserting the validity of the issue and its national security implications. This is extraordinary and long overdue opportunity. So here's what I'll say. They're not going to release the information if they don't want to. But the question is, do they want to? And a lot of people have had some very interesting, let's say, theories, you can call them conspiracy theories, as to why this is all happening right now. I personally think it's just kind of overdue. I think a lot of the individuals who have come in contact with these crafts are almost kind of, these are humans, they're, some of them are embarrassed, they don't want to just keep this information to themselves if it's not giving them any kind of technological superiority over other countries, for example, meaning maybe they weren't able to back engineer it, or they can't capture the damn craft to back engineer it, even though we have the Bob Lazar case. I don't know, these theories are kind of all up for grabs. I know that I read once from Christopher Mellon. We actually reported him in our second episode, and he was saying that a lot of these individuals are embarrassed, especially some of the military types, when they encounter this. So it's an interesting question. Is it just that it's overdue and they just want this information out? Or is there a more nefarious reason? I had one doctor who commented that he thinks there might be a fake alien invasion. This is, I don't have any evidence to indicate that, but you never know. As was evident with Tupac in his post-mortem show. Well, it seems like they got the hologram down pretty nicely, so who knows? If you like, please comment below and let us know what you think. Why are they doing this right now? And do you think that they're actually going to unveil this information? They don't have to. It's not law. Some of this has security implications that are beyond nuclear weapons. So obviously, if it's not law, they're not going to unveil it. Even if it was law, I still wouldn't trust they would unveil super sensitive information. But maybe something about this is going to start opening up to the public. And, it's pretty amazing because there is a ton of information coming out. I think the CIA just released more information. There are UFOs being spotted seemingly at a more frequent frequency as all this chaos is happening in our country. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot to report on. And one episode that I'm going to be doing very recently is who were the Martians, if there was some kind of intelligent species that lived in Mars at a certain point, and what did they look like? And it sounds crazy, but I do think I have a general idea of what that might be. And I want anybody who has any information on what Martians could be, please email me at eafiles.contact@gmail.com, For one, I want to verify if this information matches the information that I have. And secondly, it's just a way to kind of build some material for this upcoming episode. Or if you have any UFOs in general that you would like to share, I promise I will not reveal it to the public without your explicit permission. And don't forget to subscribe if you have not. If you like this video, you can always help us out by, liking the video. I don't like to say smash, or delicately tap the like button. Just like it if you like it. Anyways, please stay tuned because I will be coming out with new episodes very, very soon, maybe even tomorrow. So thank you once again for joining me. This is Felipe speaking, signing out.